good evening, and welcome to Bronco Talk. End of the season. Um, we finished Super Bowl. Super Bowl finished last Sunday, and the the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And of course, as a Broncos fan, that was the best result possible. And we're not even talking a little beating. We're talking a complete annihilation of the Kansas City Chiefs. The three-peat did not happen. Now, granted, they've won 3 out of 4, so there's a lot to be said there and a lot of accolades and everything. But, man, the Philadelphia Eagles really put it on the Kansas City Chiefs. I literally enjoyed that Super Bowl probably in my distant memory. I mean, and obviously this is sarcasm and everything from an entertainment aspect. If you did not like the Kansas City Chiefs, you enjoyed that. And here's the thing that also to bring up about this, because most people will be like, "Oh, you don't like Taylor Swift, or you don't like the Chiefs because of Travis." No. I just don't like the Chiefs in general. Don't care. Taylor Swift could have dated anybody else in the league. I would have not cared one bit. Jessica Simpson dated Tony Romo for years. Not a single care in the world. We'll never forget the pink jersey, but that's a different story. So let's take a quick dive into this game. Super Bowl Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles secure their second Super Bowl in team history, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22 in a game where it was technically really 40-6 the whole game. It just we'll just dive into this. So, first and foremost, let's pull this over here. Present the screen. All right. We're going to share this to start this out. But, so, and we're sharing it. There we go. So the Kansas City Chiefs lose 40-22. Again, it just seemed the actual discussion of the whole night when you're watching it is the Chiefs weren't able to stop the Eagles' pass rush. And it's just one of those deals where, let's see here. So let's get into these details here. 40-22. The Eagles scored early, first quarter, 7-0. So it was one of those games where Eagles got the ball first. There was a penalty on A.J. Brown on a third down that ended up being an offensive pass interference. I don't think the call was right. I think it should have been probably more of a face mask, because if you look back at it, A.J. Brown had his hand up in the face mask of the Kansas City Chief that was beside him. But needless to say, that ended that first drive. So looking at these drives here, let's see here. 8 plays. Shall we say 8 plays, 20 yards. The Eagles started out pretty quickly for the most part. Ended up having the penalty that killed that drive. So, but the first drive for the Chiefs, I think, was really critical because they picked up the first down, but then it was basically 4 plays and out, basically, with the punt. So the Eagles were stopped on their first drive, and then, of course, the Chiefs were stopped on their first drive as well. So both teams started out, trying to fill each other out. Defenses did well to make plays. And then, of course, the touchdown, this is the drive right here that the Eagles scored first. You can see Barkley starts it off with a 2-yard run, and then a quick pass 20-yard pass to Dallas Goedert. Go through the plays here, 3-yard run by Barkley, 2-yard run by Barkley. I will give the Chiefs this. The Chiefs did a very good job of making Jalen Hurts beat them, as Saquon Barkley really didn't run the ball well effectively. I think by the second quarter, he was 8 attempts for 19 yards. So it wasn't a very good day starting out. It ended up being an okay day at the end of the game. but at the same time, it didn't start well for them. All right, so and Jalen Hurts. I mean, there's a lot of stereotypes with Jalen Hurts, and a lot of them I think are somewhat unfair. Some are valid. I think he is somewhat limited as a passer, but he's still such an incredible athlete. He can throw the ball. He can throw good passes and everything and hit some of those windows. He's just not thought of in the same light that a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen or even I would actually kind of put him as a comp of Josh Allen, both big body quarterbacks, but Lamar Jackson types. He's just a different body type. The guy can squat almost 600 pounds. He's just a monster of a player. But he scores the first touchdown there, and then the Chiefs again 5 plays. Like the Eagles defense did so good stopping the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, you can see here their first 2 drives, 5 plays, and then they had to punt. This one's 4 plays and a punt. So 4th and 3. And then you can see here Jalen Hurts makes the first mistake of the game. This was a big, long drive that ended in an interception for the Kansas City Chiefs. It was intercepted at the 2-yard line. So I always say this about games and everything: turnovers, penalties, and missed field goals. And this was the first turnover of the game. So when I saw this, I'm thinking, okay, how is this going to impact the Chiefs? Impact the Eagles. Well, here you go. Ensuing drives, 3 and out. So the Eagles were able to respond. They got the ball back. And on this play, they ended up in a field goal. So you're up 10-0. So you avoid the penalty. You end up swinging it into a 2-possession game. And then here you go. And this is where the big key, the key there. So at this point of the game, the Chiefs never really got into a good rhythm. And sure enough, Cooper DeJean picks up the pass 38 yards for a touchdown. So that's one of those plays where, now it's a 17-0 game. And if you're an Eagles fan, you're sitting there going, okay, all right, what do we have to do? And I think really the Eagles are probably sitting here thinking, and a lot of their fans as well, thinking we've got to put their foot on the neck and just end this game. So again, the Chiefs fail to respond. The next drive, they get 4 plays and they have to punt it. They did ended up and here you go. They pick up a sack. This was the they just struggled. The Chiefs never could get a good rhythm. They couldn't protect the quarterback. Eagles ended up in a punt. And then here you go. Patrick Mahomes, they get the ball back, and they end up throwing an interception. So it goes from 17-0 to potentially end of the half. You're sitting there thinking, okay, Chiefs get the ball in the second half. What can they do with the time on the clock? Because they had 1:49 left. So, of course, you got Patrick Mahomes. You're going to absolutely give it a shot. You're going to give it a shot and try to go down the field with them. So, but it backfired. And Bond gets the interception, and that turns into a touchdown for Jalen Hurts, 24-0 at halftime. And the game's probably done and dusted at that point. I think if the Chiefs go to the halftime, let's say at worst case scenario, let's say best case scenario, 17-7, you feel better for them. You're sitting here saying, okay, at 17-7, I get the ball to start the second half. What can I do with this? But instead, even a 17-3, you're down to a 2-possession game, which even at 17-7, you're still at a 2-possession game, but it's a different type of math. But, long story short, the turnovers, perhaps 2 critical turnovers by the Chiefs in the second quarter. So anyway, we had a halftime show. Of course, and again, so the Chiefs score quickly. It was a 3-play drive because they got the ball on the Kansas City 12. And then, of course, the Chiefs, can't do anything. 6 plays and they punt. It starts off with a penalty, a holding penalty, pass incomplete. And you're seeing here they got themselves behind the chains. So you're down 24-0 behind the chains. Philly gets the ball back, and what does Philly smartly takes a knee and goes to the second half. Third quarter, I didn't really watch the halftime show. We'll talk about the halftime show for a second. Kendrick Lamar, I don't really listen to that kind of music. And I normally don't watch the halftime shows anyway. It's just not my thing. I've never really gotten into halftime shows. I find it to be kind of like the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing, where it's just kind of the sideshow. Like, I don't really watch the Super Bowl and like there's this celebrity, that celebrity, so it just doesn't excite me. It's just not. I don't watch I'm a football fan. I want to watch football. I don't want to watch Taylor Swift tweet with one of her friends, or Leo Messi's there with 4 other footballers. It's just not my thing. So anyway, didn't watch the halftime show. Went and did some other stuff. But the Chiefs come out in the second half and don't do anything with it. Punt the ball again. And then Philly gets the ball for a long time. 6 minutes on a 6-minute drive to end of 3. So now you're up 27-0. Chiefs, again, can't get anything going. 7 plays and turnover on downs. And a penalty killed that drive too. But again, at 27-0, you're not really feeling like the Chiefs can do anything with this. Kelce was quiet on the night too. Had a catch on this drive, but overall he was quiet. Chiefs get the ball back. The Eagles get the ball back on the turnover downs from the Kansas City 46. 2 plays, touchdown and an extra. Jalen Hurts, first play, deep to Devontae Smith, 34-0. And this is with 2:47 left in the third quarter. So 34-0. What are you thinking now? The Chiefs finally score a touchdown, hits Xavier Worthy, who I thought had a pretty decent game. I think it's 2 touchdowns in this game. One of them against the backups for the Chiefs, but the other one he ends up having, here at the end of the third quarter. So the Chiefs are now 34-7. Eagles kick a field goal to go, 5-minute drive, long, another clock bleeding drive. And then the Chiefs committed another turnover. So in my opinion, that's 3 turnovers. You got two interceptions by Mahomes. You got this is the one where he actually fumbles the ball. And then you're looking here, and the Chiefs are now down, 34-7. You got absolutely, the game's pretty much over at this point. I think it was over 24-0 at halftime, in my opinion. Some would argue, the Eagles went up 7-0, but no. Like, momentum mattered. Like, that's a big deal in football. And then, of course, turnovers. The Chiefs the Eagles get a field goal, go up 40-6. Because that was the thing. I said 34-7, but the Chiefs went for 2 and ended up not getting it. So, and then you see here Patrick Mahomes gets a touchdown, but by this time, the Eagles, I think, had taken out their starters and put the backups in there. And then this was basically at this point, Kenny Pickett was in at quarterback. And the Chiefs scored 2 garbage time touchdowns. And I'm still going to give Xavier Worthy credit for his 2 touchdowns. I think he's a hell of a talented wide receiver out of Texas, going to have a really decent NFL career. But, the game was kind of just over. And you're looking at it, and it's just kind of one of those shell shock. I thought the Eagles would win this game and obviously pick against the Chiefs every time they play in the playoffs. I don't pick against them in the regular season. I'm not a moron. But, looking at I just didn't see this coming. Now, I did say that there was going to be issues with their ability to protect the quarterback. I definitely thought that was going to be an issue because when Broncos played the Chiefs in Arrowhead in early December or I think it was October, the Broncos had no issue getting to Patrick Mahomes. They pretty much stifled him the majority of the day. It was a 16-14 ball game. But you can see here, 21 of 32, a lot of his yards, it sounds like most of that was on those last couple drives there when the Eagles had taken off all their starters. Patrick, look, and this is the other key stat here. They could never get the ball running. That's so un-Chiefs-like. Kareem Hunt, 3 for 9. Samaje Perine, 1 for 8. And then Isaiah Pacheco, again, coming off that injury that just never seemed to heal. That looks like Bronco stats right there in some games this year. It just really does. But that's the key. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. They couldn't protect the quarterback. I think he got sacked, I want to say 7 or 8 times. Like, it was just and look at Jalen Hurts. 17 to 22, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He led them in rushing, 11 for 72, MVP. Saquon Barkley, 25 for 57. Kind of a pedestrian day, but he got going towards the end of the game. But again, to me, I know we discussed this, and I did a watch along with Ryan on Mr. Arsenal podcast and a couple of friends over there. There was, do you give the MVP to the defense? And I don't know if you do, but look at this. You got 2 sacks from Milton Williams, 1 for Jordan Davis, 2.5 from Josh Sweat out of Chesapeake, Virginia, where I live. And then, of course, Jackson Hunt with other half sack there. I don't know if you can absolutely go and say, hey, the defense get the MVP, but Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. The Eagles, the Chiefs just went and said, hey, we're gonna contain Saquon and make you beat us, and he did. And props to Jalen Hurts, because I think about Jalen Hurts' college career and where he's been and where he went, and he was at Alabama. A lot of people thought he was just kind of a big power back quarterback that could throw a little bit but ran the ball. Took himself over to Oklahoma, went under Lincoln Riley, got himself drafted, had a really good senior year at Oklahoma, developed as a passer, and now, of all the Alabama quarterbacks, he's the one that's got the Super Bowl. No Tua. Tua doesn't have a Super Bowl. Mac Jones is obviously a backup at this point. I'm thinking there's someone else I'm missing from the Alabama quarterbacks. Bryce Young had a good second half after being benched by the Panthers. But Jalen Hurts, of all the quarterbacks that came out of Alabama during Nick Saban's run, you probably wouldn't have picked Jalen Hurts to be the one that has the Super Bowl ring now, but he does. So, again, that's credit to Nick Saban, and that's credit to Lincoln Riley for developing him even further. So that to me, and I'm happy for him, because I think second-round pick, I think there's a lot of people are kind of unfair with Jalen about who they think how he is as a quarterback. But he's in a good system. He's in a good organization. They're in a team that can run the football, play good defense. It's the perfect scenario. It's really ideally what you want as a quarterback. He's in that good system. And I don't know what's going to happen with the Eagles going forward. I don't know even, I know they set out odds for the next year, and they're like, the Super Bowl 2026 odds. And it's like, nobody really knows right now. We think we know, because you'll say, the Chiefs are going to be good next year. And I'll tell you what, you can go look at any year, and there's always new teams that made the playoffs. They had the Broncos finishing 5.5 wins this year, and Denver got 10. So, nobody really knows what's going to happen. Like I said, we've got free agency coming up. We've got the NFL draft coming up. So things are just going to change. It's going to be ever moving pieces and parts here. But with that being said, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts. And you know what? I am going to laugh at the Chiefs a little bit. I did laugh at a lot of the memes. There's a great meme going right there. I didn't bring any with me to share tonight, but one of the great memes was a picture of Lynn Dawson, and it's got Taylor Swift in there smoking a cigarette. I think it's after, the 70s Super Bowl, 1970s, one of those ones that the Chiefs were in, the early ones. You've got some ones that are like, are you okay with, and you've got Patrick Mahomes with his lip pouty. There's some funny ones out there. But credit to the Eagles, too, for not allowing this game to even be close, for there to even be controversy. That's another thing that has to be said. The Eagles blew the doors off the Chiefs. And some of these Chiefs mistakes were self-induced for sure. But with that being said, this was one of those deals where, just really congrats to him. Like I said, I did not see this one coming. Let's look at some of these next-gen stats. 64, Cooper DeJean was faster than Xavier Worthy. How about that one? Didn't see that coming. Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa. Get to know him. I mentioned him on the stream on Saturday night or Sunday night with the Mr. Arsenal podcast. But look at some of these passing yards here. Jalen Hurts, you look at this. He 5 for 5, you can see the line of scrimmage over here and everything where where his passing zones were. I mean, a couple of these are misleading for Mahomes because it's in garbage time, but 17 to 22, really good. I mean, look at this. Barkley seemed to have the most success on the right side. And Gas, if you want to say, it's probably an ugly game. If I didn't dislike the Chiefs as much as I do, because I hate the Chiefs, Chargers, and Raiders easily, I probably don't enjoy this game as much. I mean, from a Super Bowl historical standpoint, where is this going to rank? Probably in the bottom 10. I mean, you got some real duds in Super Bowl history. And some of these games that we saw, especially in the 90s, which is one of my favorite NFL eras. I don't know why some of the great quarterbacks of all time come out of those eras, but some of those games are straight duds. The Bills got blown out in pretty much 3 out of 4 Super Bowls. So I don't know where this one's going to rank, but the stopping of a three-peat. In a salary cap league, it's really hard to win multiple championships. And for the Chiefs to have done what they've done with Andy Reid, and Andy Reid takes a big portion. Everybody talks about Patrick Mahomes and everything, but Andy Reid's been pretty much successful everywhere he goes. He was good with McNabb in the Eagles. He was good on the Packers staff. Like, Andy Reid's just one of these guys, just genius. I have a lot of respect for Andy Reid and the coach he is in general. But you guys took an L on Sunday, and I can't say I'm upset about it. But anyway, so let's get into some mock draft stuff. Got my German Shepherd barking downstairs. So this is Walter mock draft. This is 21 hours ago. Tennessee Titans. They still got them taking Cam Ward out of Miami. I wonder how that's going to change, what happens at the combine or whatnot. But Tennessee needs a quarterback, so why not go for it? And they got the Cleveland Browns taking Shedeur Sanders, the number 2 pick. You can see that they got the Giants taking Travis Hunter from Colorado. That would be a good pick for the Giants. And I think this is – I don't know. I don't know if this absolutely happens here. Shedeur is a special talent. I think he's better than Cam Ward. I do not rate Cam Ward as highly as some people do. Like, I watch Cam Ward throw some ball into some coverages that I'm just like, you shouldn't throw that. But some people like Cam Ward. But not a big fan. The Patriots, they got taken Abdul Carter, linebacker out of Penn State. Jacksonville Jaguars, 5th overall pick, going to take Kenneth Grant from Michigan. 6th overall, Las Vegas Raiders. They need a quarterback, but they have him taken Tatora McMillan. He's a good wide receiver. But before we stop, I'm going to do a mock draft on this thing where I'm going to sit down and actually draft a Broncos draft, 7 rounds. I did it last year. It was fun. We'll probably do it again. But anyway, we'll get back to this. But this is Walter mock draft. This is their picks. The New York Jets, 7 overall, Mason Graham, defensive tackle. That would be a really good pick for them, a space eater. But, of course, they're going to need a quarterback. So that would them and Quentin Williams, those two together, that would be a really daunting pass rush for the Jets. Carolina Panthers, 8th overall pick. You would have thought they probably would have been back in the quarterback sweepstakes the way Bryce Young played. But, again, he improved over the season and finished up pretty strong. So they got them taking a linebacker, a defensive end out of Tennessee, and James Pierce. 9th overall pick, the New Orleans Saints, who also just announced their new head coach, Kellen Moore, out of the Eagles coaching staff, offensive coordinator. So they have them taking Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. I heard a lot of people say Will Johnson before the season was going to start, or before the college season played itself out, that he might have been one of the top 5 picks taken. And he still could be. Again, the NFL Combine's coming up in March, so there's going to be some exciting times and seeing what happens there. So these things will fluctuate because scouts will talk and everything, and GMs they'll figure out. You'll know exactly. So right now, these mock drafts are kind of I don't want to say they're not. I don't say they're worthless, But I think because the actual free agency market hasn't really started, and you haven't seen what teams are signing what. Because a lot of people think the Broncos are going to sign Zach Bond off the Eagles because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. A lot of people think that. But as of right now, if you were doing a mock draft, you would sit there and potentially see the Broncos taking an inside linebacker based out of not knowing if they're going to bring Cody Barton back. There's a lot of doors that haven't closed yet, so you just really don't know. But this is still early days, and it's fun. I love it. I love mock draft time. Chicago Bears, Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama, and that'll help them out to block for Caleb Williams. 11th pick overall, Will Campbell, tackle out of LSU to the San Francisco 49ers. And Trent Williams is getting older, so why not? 12th overall, and I got this one breaks my heart. The Cowboys taking Ashante Genty out of Boise State. I don't think that's changed. I think they've had them high for the majority of the time. But that would give them a rookie running back on a decent, rookie deal. So why would you not, take, they had, like I said, right there it says it, Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott was the Cowboys running game last year. And they still finished 7-10, which even with Dak's injury, very impressive. They were even that good. Dolphins, Kelvin Banks, tackle guard out of Texas. 14th overall, Indianapolis Colts, Nick Imanawara out of South Carolina safety. 15th overall, they've got the Atlanta Falcons taking Mikael Williams, defensive end out of Georgia. Here we go. 16th overall, the Arizona Cardinals taking Isaiah Thomas, cornerback out of Florida State. And you can see also here, I'm afraid to mention this, that they had previous picks. So as you can see here, they haven't changed on Genty for the Cowboys. I'm trying to see if they've changed any of their picks up here. So we had Thomas drop from the Saints that was a big drop. So we went from the Saints to the Cardinals. James Pierce has dropped. So let's see if anybody else has changed. I mean, obviously, I think this has probably changed Shador and Cam, but I still got Cam Ward going there. So we're going to go to 17-32. The Broncos are picking 20th overall. And then we'll pivot to some Bronco news here. We'll get a little more heavy into mock drafts next week. But I wanted to talk about the Super Bowl and, of course. So here you go. 17th overall, Cincinnati Bengals, Luther Burden, wide receiver, Missouri. And again, the argument here is they're saying T. Higgins might go to free agency, which I think is very likely. T. Higgins is going to make himself probably one of the highest paid running wide receivers in the game. 18th overall, Seattle Seahawks, Shamar Turner, defensive tackle, Texas A&M. 19th overall, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. And they still got the Broncos at 20th overall, taking Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. I think that would probably be really cool to get him as a tight end. Him or Genty is the thing. And normally I'm not a big skill position guy in the first round. I'm a big believer in pass rush, offensive line. But I think at this point, you're looking at the Broncos, you still have to sit there and say, hey, we need to help Bo Nix out, and this is the way we can do it. 21st overall, they got the Steelers taking Alfred Collins out of Texas, defensive end. And then you got 22nd overall, Los Angeles Chargers taking Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. 23rd overall, Green Bay Packers taking Isaiah Bond, wide receiver, Texas. Oof, that'd be so good for them. I mean, again, and I'm thinking about Denver too. Would you not take a shot at Isaiah Bond? I think you need tight end and running back, but at the same time, adding weapons. I don't know. That's a guy. Dangerous speed and huge upside. He is fast. 24th overall, Minnesota Vikings, Malik Starks, safety, Georgia. 25th overall, Houston Texans taking Gray Zabel, offensive tackle, North Dakota State. 26th overall, Los Angeles Rams, Norman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee. So 27th overall, Baltimore Ravens, Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. 28th overall, Detroit Lions, Jack Sawyer, defensive end, Ohio State, scored the touchdown in the college football playoff. 29th overall, Washington. Well, he's still got they haven't changed the logo. This one says Washington Redskins. It's been 5 years, 6 years at this point. Washington Commanders, Alec AMR, wide receiver, Stanford. Walter Mock football hasn't changed it yet. Okay. 30th overall, Buffalo Bills, Trey Amos, cornerback, Ole Miss. 31st overall, and again, no shocker given the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs, Emory Jones, offensive tackle, LSU. 32nd overall, Philadelphia Eagles taking Ernest Green, tackle out of Georgia. So this is a quick other one we'll go to. This is Denver Broncos on SI. It's a 3-round Broncos draft. So I want to look at this real quick. Let's see here. So they've got the Broncos taking Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, first round. That'd be interesting. I think at this point, too, and it's interesting to say because I think a lot of the discussion I've heard people say is, oh, the Broncos are going to take a running back or a tight end in the first round. It's not out of the realm of craziness to sit there and they'll take a wide receiver and add just more weapons. Like, that's not a crazy perception because the reality is you need to add weapons to your team. Do the Broncos spend money on a tight end in free agency or do they draft one in the class? I don't know. But this whole thought process that the Broncos are going to go tight end or running back, I think is a little short-sighted. That wide receiver could still be a play for them. So here you go. Their second round pick they got. Travion Henderson, running back, Ohio State. Good running back. I would be okay with that. Third pick, Josh Farmer, inside defensive lineman, Florida State. Good player as well. I don't know. Again, mock drafts are going to go crazy. And things will change. Things will change between now and then. But we're going to pivot to some Bronco news. And congrats to Pat Surtain getting Defensive Player of the Year. What a cornerback. In that draft, and I remember people talk about it a lot, the Broncos should have taken Justin Fields. Some people think the Broncos should have taken the kid that plays for Dallas right now who's drawing a blank. But they took Pat Surtain. And, I hear people talk about all the time about, corner's like the fifth or sixth most important position. Well, it's a good position to have shut down. He's signed to a long-term deal. He's probably going to be a Bronco for the majority of his career. Just special, man. He's a special player to watch. His stats, we could probably go to next-gen ranked stats as far as defensive stats and where he ranks as far as I don't know if I could find that right now. I'm going to do it some other time, but where he ranks as far as his peers. And it's pretty much top of the league in almost everything at his position. And, his dad was a good cornerback as well. His dad played for the Dolphins and everything, Pat Surtain. And, just a special player. Broncos are very happy to have him. Broncos fans are obviously very happy to have him. It's funny when you think about the town of Denver. And so for me, I really root for the Broncos and the Avalanche. I don't really mess with the Nuggets. I'm not a huge NBA fan. But when you think about this town and you think about the four sports teams that are there, and I'm not including the Mammoth in this fall cross team, but when you talk about the Broncos in general and Denver in general, you've got McKinnon, probably the best hockey player in the world. You could argue about McDavid or whoever you want to argue about. That's fine. Ovechkin or whatever. But I think currently you could argue McKinnon's probably the best. You've got Jokic out there, couple-time MVP with the Nuggets. And then now you've got Bo Nix, Pat Surtain. And then with the Rockies, I'm an Orioles fan, so I don't really follow them, but they're not very good. I think from the Rockies' perspective, I don't know. Someone in the comments is going to have to tell me. But either way, for him to represent the Broncos organization, who he is as a player, how he carries himself, it's pretty special. I want to pull this thing up, Damani Leach from the Radio Row when it pops up. But let's see. Let's see. That is a. But yeah, it's something else to watch him go out there and play. But I wonder. Let's see. I can't. It's not very long. That's what. But yeah, so we're not going to go too much further in this. But basically, he got up there and discussed the new facility. The fact that the Bolins, not the Bolins, excuse me, the Walter Penner Group covered football helmets for all the high school leagues, I guess, in Colorado. So a lot of stuff, the outreach to the community and stuff that the organization's doing. I don't think much was talked about as far as, going forward about where the team's going to play or anything. But, that you have to be excited as a Broncos fan going forward, for 2025, 2026 season. Bo Nix, you got yourself your quarterback of the future. You've got, you're going to have $40 million in cap space. You got a good coach in Sean Payton with a good organization. You got an ownership group that wants to win. It's committed to the area. I think you got to feel really good right now. I'm going to do a state of the Broncos probably coming up. So obviously it's mock draft season. I want to talk about the season that happened. So go through some of the games and how things changed and look at some of the stuff. And we'll talk about that. But of course, free agency's popping up here pretty soon. But with that being said, what a good season it was. The Broncos didn't win anything this year, but they won in a lot of ways. You got your quarterback of the future. You won 10 games. You beat the Chiefs. Again, I don't care if the game was against the backups. You swept the Raiders. You lost to the Chargers twice. That's concerning because and that's one of those games, man. We'll go back and discuss that one. But that Thursday night game, you should have won that one. But again, I think you have to feel really good if you're a Broncos fan going forward. This team is exciting. I'm looking forward to the free agency and to see where we're headed from there. But with that being said, I'm going to head out now. And thanks for joining me tonight. Those of you who watch it live, those of you who watch it on replay, I'm probably going to move this time slot. I was doing 7 p.m. I'm probably going to move it to 7:30. There's been some changes in my life as far as where I'm working and how long I'm working. So just my dedication and my ability to kind of give my time is probably going to have to push it further to the right just so I can still manage the father-husband duties and maintain, we do have like some rescue animals. Actually, there's one right there. So I'm all kind of busy with doing that and everything. So when I can get on here, I can. So we're going to probably push this to 7:30 on Thursdays. But with that being said, thank you for coming by tonight. And it's been fun. It was a good season. The NFL is one of these games that I think we take for granted to an extent. We get excited for every Sunday. We get excited for the game. We get excited for the next week. And sometimes you just got to live in the moment, man, because we won't see NFL football, like actual full contacts again until September. So 7 months from now. Now, granted, the football is a 24/7 sport. You got training camp. You've got, the NFL draft coming up. So, yeah, enjoy it, man, because it'll be here again tomorrow. But like I said, and like a good friend says always, don't waste the trip. Enjoy the trip. Don't waste the journey. That's something like that. But it's a good phrase. But anyway, you can see me Mondays and Saturdays on DWTT. And sometimes I help out with Mr. Thomas Talks Wrestling. But with that being said, have yourself a good night.